Now, hello. Now that the recording actually started, welcome to this episode of Sakai Developer School with our esteemed Professor Adrian. And I think the last time we were getting very responsive and getting ready to do an ad page. I mean, the C of CRUD, I think. And so I think I'll be quiet and I'll let Adrian just start. So, Adrian, take it away.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to hopefully create our pages page, right? So, we've got to the point where we've got like a little wizard type thing, just a form on the screen, which I'll now show you briefly so we can remember where we're at. This is the pages tool. Over here, we added an add page button. I think I've tweaked this since the last time we met. So it looks slightly different maybe. But anyway, that's the add page button. It does the same thing. It just creates a form, add page with a title and a content area and a save and a cancel button. Yeah. If I just open the console, scroll down a bit there. Let's get the console open. Okay, we've got to forget about that. Okay, let's ignore that. That bit never happened there. So if we click save now, as you can see, we've got save, right? So we've wired up our click button. We've got cancel and save working, right? So now we're going to actually make this pass something to our web API, to our REST endpoint. Right. So I will show you the code. So you've seen where we're at now with this. Is just a quick reminder, like a quick run through of where we're at. Yeah. So we've got this method here called render add page, and all that's doing is that is just showing the form, right? So what you just saw there is just this template getting populated, and that's our save and our cancel button there. But at the moment, all it does is it calls this function here. Then if I just shoot down here, we have a button, we have a click handler on that button. Lit handles all the add event listener stuff for you behind the scenes, right? By using this special little thing here, yeah? So we don't have to worry about that. We can just go at click save page. But save page just does a console log. So we need to change this. Right, so how I'm going to start with this is I'm going to back.
Isn't our first task to kind of get that form data like in a variable?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So this render add page, right? Well, so you can do this in two different ways, right? So the classic way most people are used to probably is, right, in your save page here, what you do is you go document get element by ID or whatever, right? And you grab this.
That's what I was thinking, and we'd write.
Yeah, right. So no, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do instead, I think, is we're going to actually create ourselves a recipe, right? Because that's what we're going to send in the end anyway, right? So we may as well start by creating the thing here, right? So if I look at render add page, let's have a think here. So when we first create this actual component, I think what we should do is we should create ourselves a like a shell object, right? For the recipe. We may refactor this later, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go template page bean, right?
Sure you don't want to call this add page bean?
I'm not too sure yet. I'm not too sure. Maybe. Okay. So we're just going to go, title, right, empty, content, empty, right? So all I've done there is I've used a JavaScript object literal, and I've just assigned it to this this member here, maybe I'll make that private, by using an underscore on it. So I've created, so it's just an object with title and content. So we're gonna use this as our container that we're going to send in our fetch request when we click save. Yeah. So if I now just scroll back down to our render page, what we've got here is our title input, right? That's this thing here, right? Pages title input. Now, what I can do with this is I can add a what's the handler for this? It's going to be like key up. I can never remember which one you're supposed to use, right? One of the we'll quickly look at the Mozilla documentation for this, but I think it's key up. I think we'll check in a minute. So what I'm going to do here, right, is I'm going to wire up a handler, right, for key up on our title input, yeah. And as the title, as people type into this, right, we're just going to update that object that we've just created, right? Yeah, I think that's so key up. Update title. Again, we can refactor all this stuff really easily as we go on, right? This may make sense today. Update title, tomorrow it may not. And this is a very important, aspect of software development, right? You've got to be ready to refactor. And, always write code that you can refactor, right? And, it's something you always do. You always have to refactor code, right? You never get it right the first time. Nobody ever does. Nobody's like a god, like that. So,
and you're putting this in a setter, right? Because my instinct is just to slap code in there and touch that underscore update bean. But you're going to put it in a setter basically.
Yeah. There is a reason for that, and
okay, no, I'm just
yeah. I'm going to put it in a setter.
Just watching how the story's going.
Yeah, I'm just going to write a little function for that. So update title. So we can go like that. So I'm passing the event to it, right? So whenever you have one of these things here, like save page, right? So that is a click handler, right? So we've seen in the code, yeah, you can see the code on the screen there, right? Save page is a click handler, right? So it will get an event, as you'd expect. So if you were using the old add event, the classic, add event listener, which is being used under the covers here, right? If you were writing that explicitly, you would always have your events, and then you'd get your target on the events, and then do stuff with that, right? So the event is available in these things, but so the fact I'm not putting them in there, it's irrelevant. It is supplied, but if you're not using it in the method, don't have it there. It just confuses things. Just don't add that e unless you're actually going to use it in the code, in the actual function body. You don't need to have it there, basically. But I'm going to use it here, right? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go this dot underscore template page bean title equals e dot target dot. I'm just going to grab the value, right? So every time somebody does a keystroke, I'm just going to grab the value and update the title. And then what we'll so we've got that there, right? So we've got template page. So we're updating our template page bean there, updating the title on it.
I vote we put a console log in there. Sorry, I'm a Fortran programmer.
Where in update title?
Yeah.
No, because we're going to put it in here, right? So in save page, now,
okay.
what we're going to do is we're going to go console.log this dot template page bean like that, right? And we can see it. We can see if it's updated it.
Okay.
Right. Let's go and refresh and let's try that out. Okay, so we had a page. We had some stuff in there. Save. There you go. Right, so you see it, right? There you go. So our title has been updated to that. And content's still empty, right? Because I've not updated that yet. You can all guess what I'm going to do next.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, this is going to be slightly more tricky because it's a CK editor. So we have to actually hook the kind of key up event inside CK to do this. Same principle, just you've got to go around the houses a little bit more because it's a rich text editor. But so you see the idea, though, right? So what I'm basically building my data object directly from the event handlers in the components, in the input fields, right? Rather than doing that thing, get element by ID on various input fields and then doing the data like that just in time. I'm actually building the data as I go. Yeah, I think it's a nice approach.
I think it's really pretty, and we're going to see that the next setter, in a sense, is a little more complex. It's not just one line.
It is.
And you can, but that's the right place to kind of capture that code because it's associated with a text area.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So right. So let's move on to the content. Right. So down here, I see that we are using a Sakai editor component. And if I remember correctly, we have a handler on this. We can actually add an event handler on this for when the content changes directly. So I'm going to go and have a look at Sakai editor. Here we go. So, right. Okay. So this is probably a good time just to briefly talk about events. These components need documenting better than they are, right? Okay, I will put that on the table right now. Yeah, I agree that they do. I shouldn't have to go and look in the Sakai editor code, especially since I wrote it, and I can't even remember, the ins and outs of it. So I go in the code a lot and look at code, right? Which is a healthy thing to do as a developer, and nobody should ever feel bad about that. It's always great to go and look at code, especially other people's code. But I shouldn't really have to in this case because it's just slowing me down. But anyway, here it is what it is, right? So yeah, these things should be documented better. But if you're looking for events that are fired by web components, the thing you look for, so you go into the code, the file that you think it's in, right? And you look for something called dispatch event, like that. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold at the minute, so if I occasionally sniff, my apologies. You can't catch it because we're online, so everybody's safe. Right. Okay. So I've looked for dispatch event because I couldn't remember what the event was because I should document this stuff properly somewhere, right? But we've got this event, new custom event changed, right? I can just use changed. I can just use the changed event, which I salute past Adrian for this because past Adrian decided that you should use a predictable event changed, right? It's changed, but rather than clash with inputs, I've said changed, right? So that's sensible. I like that. That's good. Thank you, past Adrian, right? So right. So right. Love it when past Adrian's right about things, but past Adrian's wrong many times about things as well. So right, changed.
We appreciate the small wins.
Exactly. So update content, right? So you see where I'm going here, right? So I know there's an event going to get fired by this component, right? When its editor, whatever editor that might be, in this case it's Seek editor, but we don't have to know that, right? Whatever editor it's using, when that thing inside changes, our Sakai editor component is going to fire changed with the updated content, right? So I can use that knowledge and I can basically add a new method here. That one line. It's going to be update content. Okay, that should do it. Let's just have a quick look at Sakai Editor again. Okay, so it's not so right. So this is the event, right? So dispatch event is saying create a new custom event called changed, and this is what's inside it: detail, content. So that's what I've actually got a hook in my event handler. I hope this is not going too fast for people. I am assuming quite a lot of JavaScript knowledge when I'm kind of racing through things here, but right. So
update content is not getting an event, right? It looks like update content is getting a thing called detail.
no, it's got an event, but the events can contain various different types of data. You can structure data in custom events. You can pass whatever data
You're
you
saying
want.
that when you're go back to the other file. Sorry to slow you down. So when it says detail colon, I assume that was going to be a parameter to whatever event handler we fire on changed. You're saying this is actually expanding the event structure that's passed into the code that we're going to call.
Yeah, it's basically a payload. It's a payload for the event.
It's part of the payload for the event. It's not the first parameter.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, go back down. I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, no, fine. Yeah. Right. So I should just be able to go like this. I mean, we can dump out the event as well, right? I'll do that. I'll do that as well. So I'll go like this. So we can take a look at the actual event, right? You can see what the event looks like, the things being constructed in Sakai Editor. So right, let's try that out. Let's try it out. Where is that coming from?
That's an old console log that we've got, right?
Yeah, I'm just wondering why that's being fired at that point. I find that strange. Oh, yeah, great. Okay, we can get rid of that. Yeah, we don't need that now. We're past that, aren't we? We're past
that console log, yeah.
Yeah, we're past getting the data. It's all old school, old stuff. That right. Add page. So, here's noses. Look at that. Look at that. So as I'm typing there, you seeing it, right? Let's clear it. Let's clear it. Yeah, every key up, we're getting the event from the editor saying, the content's updated. But I'm going to go for noses, and I'll clear my. Okay, so I've set the title, I've set the content, save. There you go. Right, so this is a rich text editor, so you get rich text, of course, and the title is ears. So, that's our data there, right? So it's in the bean already. We can add more things to that bean, more fields as we go on, and we can use exactly the same approach, which I like. I personally like this approach instead of having get element by IDs all over the place, because one of the things that lit element and lit HTML talk about a lot is that if you see lots of things like get elements by ID or a query selector or that kind of stuff, that's like an anti-pattern for lit, because lit element, lit templates are driven by the data, changes to the data. So these properties up here, right? You should be able to do most of what you need to do in a lit project by using reactive properties and just allowing lit HTML to re-render the parts of the DOM that it needs to. If you find yourself having to dip into the DOM and mess around in there using lots of get element by IDs and stuff, then there's sometimes something a bit dodgy going on, Put space there, I want that. Right. Okay. Let's just pause there briefly. Right. I need to pause.
So I think I know now why it is that you resisted my idea to call it the add bean. You just call it this. This is basically, you can use this for an update form as well. That the template page bean is the current it's the backing store for the current form data. And so
Yeah,
we use it for
yeah.
when we do when we're doing an edit page, we can use that same thing, and we can use those same setters, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could call it a save page bean or something, right? But again, we can as we
We can
think more
reuse this
about.
probably else in other pages, like when we have an edit page, we will
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
not need another one of these things. That was my instinct, is kind of, again, I'm thinking like Django or PHP, we're going to have this whole separate edit thing, but no,
Yeah.
there'll be two things, they'll share code.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that's the game. And again, these because of the way we're working here, right? Again, it's probably good me reminding people about this, right? So I'm working in my exploded web app, right, inside my Tomcat. Yeah. So if you look at my kind of like status bar down there, right, I've got Sakai Master Tomcat web apps, web components. I'm in the exploded web app, right? When I finish working on this stuff, and I'll probably do it after this recording's finished, I always copy this file, Sakai pages.js, back into my Git repo, my Sakai Git repo, right? But the benefit of working like this means we can work really fast. We change something, all we have to do is refresh our Tomcat. So refactoring is quick. That's in a long roundabout way. I'm just trying to say that we can always whip back and do a search and replace on this, refresh Tomcat, and then it's easy. It's easy working quickly on these components, which is something I really like about it. And when we move to bundling, the bundling won't add much of overhead to that at all. The bundling's pretty fast. This kind of technique I've got for that. So it's always good to work in this stuff if you like to refactor and work fast and see quick changes on your screen, right? So it's kind of satisfying, So when you're doing a lot of back end code, it's nice to do some of this as well, just to keep things fresh. Anyway, okay, right, cool. Right.
Time for fetch, I think, right?
Say again.
Time to write some fetch code.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I'm just pausing. Yeah. So we got template page being that's sorted, right? So this template page being right is the thing we're going to send to our web API. So at this point, I will just move over here. So this is something I've added since we last met, since our last recorded session. Yeah. It's not much, but I thought it would be boring just to show me cut and paste this from the tasks widget. So I've just done it already. So what I've added is I've added a post mapping to our control. So the pages controller is part of what we're calling Sakai's web API, right? So it's like it's the kind of newest way in Sakai of kind of doing REST endpoints. There are others. This is, I suppose you could call this the kind of latest one, yeah. And it's based on Spring's web MVC framework. So you have these annotations like get mapping, post mapping, delete mapping, put mapping, the usual verbs that you have in HTTP. Yeah. So I've added a post mapping. It's the same URL, but it's post, so obviously it's different. Sites, site ID, pages. This is our variable that gets extracted from the path when we make our fetch call. Yeah. This is the different bit, though. This is the interesting bit, right? So Spring has this thing called a request body, right? Annotation. Yeah. And what it will do is if you post JSON to this endpoint, Spring will do its utmost to extract stuff from the JSON and map it into this bean here. So it'll look at this bean structure and it'll look at the JSON that's coming in and it'll do its best to set up the attributes in this bean. So that by the time you use it in this code, it's got the JSON fields in it. So we don't have to use Jackson directly. We don't have to use any of that object mapper stuff, right? Spring does that for us. I think it uses Jackson under the covers.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I used Jackson in Java, I originally I hated it because anything that went wrong in the incoming JSON, you get a traceback that makes you look like a lousy programmer, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and there's a thing in Jackson where you can say, "Hey, relax, it's okay," right? Don't blow up if someone mistakenly puts an extra field in the JSON, And
Yeah.
you keep saying best effort, which I'm hoping means it doesn't just blow up willy nilly, right?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, and I don't actually know the answer to it. So we could test that. We could
Yeah,
test
we can
that.
test it. Throw some crap in there and see if it
Yeah,
blows up. But then I'm sure there's a flag that says accept gently, right?
it
Don't
will
freak
be. It
out.
will be.
I
You
mean,
can
there's
probably.
another LMS in the market who is famous, who's absolutely famous for schema checking every bit of JSON that comes in and blowing up fiercely. And it makes
Yeah,
it difficult to be compatible, like even across versions of standards where the next version of the standard needs a field,
yeah,
but
exactly.
it's not in the old version of the standard. And then this one particular LMS, who will remain nameless, just blows up. And it's so hard. Then you have to have signals like, oh, this is version 1.1.1 and version 1.1.2,
Yeah,
this particular LMS. And you can't put that in. It really hurts the it ruins the beauty of JSON, where it's kind of a flexible data model, right?
yeah,
So sorry for that distraction. And we'll test it. We can throw like Bob Colon in that thing and see what. A little later we'll do that. So let's
yeah, yeah,
keep going.
yeah. But yeah, just to what you just said. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if you've got extra JSON fields in there, like, so what? As long as the ones that pages
Yeah,
recipe needs, right,
they're
are
there.
there, then it should just put something in the logs saying, oh, there was extra JSON. This is the extra JSON that was supplied, and you can do forensics later, can't you? Right, instead of it just kind of destroying itself.
Blowing up.
Yeah. Right. So I've already built this. Right. So this is all compiled. So that works. So that should now be well. All right. I'm returning null. I know that matters at the moment, because we're going to put some debug in here probably. Maybe I can just go system dot.
Debugging after my own heart. I always feel better when I see system out
Page recipe. Let's see what that does. So that should be quite interesting. Yeah, so we'll rebuild that. And while that's rebuilding, we will go over here. Like a cooking program. This is like a Saturday morning cooking program.
Yeah. So we're going to put some garlic in now. But we've already grated the garlic.
Right. Because I absolutely despise typing code all the time, I'm just going to grab that and be lazy. Save. We can probably well, we'll leave that one in just for sanity, right? Sites ID pages. So that's So when you look at these, paths here, right, in your mappings, we've not got API on here because API is where the web application is mounted by Tomcat, right? So the actual full URL we need to use in our REST calls has got API in front of it. So that's why you don't see, /API there. Yeah. Always want to remember it's always a bit of it catches you out, quite regularly if you're not careful. Right. So we're going to post to that.
I was wondering when that was going to come in.
Post, yeah. So we'll kind of like stack this down a bit now because it's going to get a little bit more verbose. I think we have to supply. Right, I'm just gonna. Do
Is there some kind of CSRF that we got to supply?
No.
No.
Just no.
Just the session and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, we've got the session. We've got the session already. What I need to supply is maybe the data type. That's in create task. Headers, yeah, that one, right? I can never remember it. I know I should be able to. Content type application JSON. Well, you can see what we're going to do here, right? So I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this. These 4 lines here, right?
I'll just say that jQuery does this for us.
It does. It's true. It's true.
We got to make a thing called fetch JSON or something, right?
I think there are things like that around, right? But I've never really bothered.
We're going to do it to low level because then, I mean, sometimes magic makes it more convenient, but it also makes it hard to understand.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I mean, down the line,
no, let's not do that. Let's.
Not now, but down the line, yeah, okay. We could down the line we could create some just some simple helper stuff in our web components thing that just. I mean, I've done something like that in rubrics. I think I've got a couple of helper utilities in the rubric stuff that kind of massages that for you. Anyway, okay, so we're saying that's our content type. Let's just make that one line. We don't have to use loads of lines for that. But we're gonna basically use we're going to pass our template page being in, right? Let's have a look. Patch error. See, I don't like doing. I feel like I'm wasting time on the video doing this stuff, but never mind.
No, you're not. I'll be honest. The error processing of fetch is one of the more mysterious things that I've seen. So.
Yeah, right. Okay. There's finally as well.
You got important things that happen in the then clause, and you got to catch all that crap. And I don't fully understand it. I mean, I give lectures about it. That doesn't mean I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair. Right. Yeah, I'm going to do nothing in this at the minute, right? Because all I want to happen is the fetch to happen, and then we'll see our system dot out. Hopefully, yeah. So that should do it, right? That should do it. So if we go over to here now, right? So I'm in my Tomcat logs now. We're not going here very often, thankfully, but that's where we are. So if I let's do a refresh on that now. Let's hope this works. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Chips. See. Okay, well, yeah, we've got the bean, right? But it's not really helpful.
I think the two-string would be a little smarter than that, but okay.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Well, yeah, I probably need to do some work on the bean to make it print better. But
I bet it works. I bet it works.
Well, I think it probably is going to work. Okay. Yeah, let's just don't.
Yeah, okay.
In a minute, we'll add the spurious field in that we're talking about, right?
Yeah. And I got a hard stop at 10 to go to another meeting. So let's add the spurious field, then wrap up.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's do this and then add the spurious field to just kind of allay our curiosity, and then
exactly. Yeah. Fine. That makes sense. What's that? I've got. Yeah, because I've used getters, which I'm going to change that. I like public fields me on these things. I'm going to say.
Oh, public fields. Yeah.
Yep.
When you like public fields.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that they're like in some of your other code that I've seen you do, you kind of have these special kind of beans, like your transfer beans. Yeah. The transfer beans not be getter oriented, right?
Yeah. It's the wrong bean. That's why. Look at it. Check it.
Yeah.
Check it out. I'm in the wrong bean. This is my container bean for all the pages.
Oh.
I've made a.
Oh, you do it. You did make a page transferred bean, just like you. Oh, and we're in the server.
I've made a rudimentary error.
This is Adrian's server pattern.
Let's get this changed up. That's wrong. I thought it was something smelly when I was writing this stuff earlier. Right, I had a bad feeling about it. Page. Yeah, that looks a lot better now.
This is Adrian canonical form now.
Yeah, page transfer bean, and we will return a page transfer bean, like the updated one. Right? So I always
for the people who don't know Adrian's pattern, the transfer bean is generally a trivially serializable thing. It's really just it's almost like a C struct, meaning it's and you think of it as it's just a or a Python dictionary or a JavaScript object. It's just a bucket of data with keys and values.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the nice and who needs all that extra stuff if all you're doing is having a bunch of public attributes?
Yep. And we've got page transfer bean there, so it should compile. Let's compile it.
That compiler is like ChatGPT. It knew that you weren't writing the code that you wanted to write.
Yeah, exactly.
It's full of artificial intelligence. Java is full of artificial intelligence.
Right, so we're good now. So let's try it. Let's try it again. Let's see what happens. Oh, hang on, Zoom is in the middle, in the front of my button. Yeah. There we go. Good. Eggs, chips, save. So have a look over here. There we go. Eggs and
chips.
Eggs and chips. We've got eggs and chips. Right. Okay. Let's have the spurious field now.
Let's just add the spurious field.
Spurious field. So I'll put it on template page. So I'm going to remove this, but this is where I'm going to put my spurious field. I can literally just go.
Say publish. Make a field that we're going to use later. Say make it. Okay, you can make it spurious. That's fine.
Yeah. Spurious bacon. So that will get supplied now, right? Because all we're setting is title and content. Well, that will still be there because that object is pre-existing, right? So chips and whatever, and so look, that's what's got sent. Spurious bacon. Okay. So
okay, let's go check our server log.
Nah, it just
nicely
works.
Meaning that the default behavior is the behavior that I generally desire, right? Spurious stuff is generally no, not a problem.
Shoot, so you're going to go away happy. You're going to go away happy from this session now, knowing that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been happy every time I've used Spring MVC, in that it's the result of a lot of people doing a lot of Java coding and coming up with a pattern that's shared across a lot of really smart people. And if it didn't do things right by default, someone 2 years ago would have just lost their temper on this thing. Because if it didn't work, I was going to lose my temper. Like, why is that the default? Why do we have to put 4 more things to say spurious is not a problem equals true? You know, so I was going to lose my temper on these folks. So. Okay, so you probably can't, or can you stick that in the database in 5 minutes?
No, I think I don't think I've done the service endpoints yet, have I? I'm not too sure.
What do you mean? You're in Java code. Let's not do it. We don't. It's not in the service. You're saying it's not in the service.
Yeah. I don't know if I can't remember whether we've done that stuff yet. Pages service. So we've got save page with we can pass it to the service, but I've not done the controller yet, the repository. I don't think yet.
Got it.
So that'll probably be a next time thing. But employ. Yeah, there you go. Save page. Empty.
Yeah, we could put a system out println in there, but let's not. We believe we would get there eventually by calling it.
Yeah, next time. We'll get it into the DB.
Well, let's stop the screen share so I can go to my next meeting, which of course is about my next meeting is about C programming for everybody and getting that thing up on Coursera. So it's an important meeting. So do you have any sort of closing thoughts, Adrian, about what we just did? Go ahead. I have some closing thoughts. I'll have you go first.
Well, closing thoughts. Just a quick summary of what we've done. We've basically showed the idea of using a transfer bean both in the back end code and the equivalent in the front end code, rather than crafting JSON chunks to send to the back end. We actually just use a JavaScript object, literal, and configure the fields as we touch the inputs. Next time, what we'll do is we will push this change into our database layer and hopefully reflect that back to the UI in a list of pages. So that'll be next time. So yeah, that's it. Thank you everybody for listening.
Yeah. So my final thoughts are that a lot of what you did today is not what I would have instinctually done, right? If at any point in time you said, Chuck, you take the keyboard, right? And I would have to type, like I would have typed document.getElementID. I just know what that ID is, damn it, and I'm gonna go get it, because we're just so conditioned in the way we use JavaScript in the browsers that's the next thing that you do, right? And
yeah,
and the thing as you did it a very different way than my instincts would have told me to do it, the thing that kind of was just shouting in my brain while you were doing that was it's JavaScript. The notion that somehow you've got to get some variables and then forcibly serialize them into dude, it's JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript. It's an object. It's already serialized. There is no you got to find a JSON. I mean, an old guy like me who writes Fortran would have to find a Fortran JSON library, right? Yeah. And that's my thought, is get it all into a bunch of variables and then call the Fortran JSON library. And what you're saying is you got to stop thinking like that. And a PHP JSON library, right? Or, in JavaScript, it's an object. And if you've got an object and we know how to deal with that, and the code to do that is pretty, and then you want to send it, you just send it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So again, all my instincts of years of hacking this stuff together with jQuery and other brutal ways of doing it are it starts to look like code rather than a hack. It's code that after a while you see the patterns. And I'll be honest, I looked at lots of your code, and I hope people watching this video will watch this video before they try to look at your code, because some of the stuff is what? That's weird. I don't even understand the philosophy, because the philosophy of how you're approaching things is so beautiful. And I think we miss that when we just look at your code in the repo. We miss the beauty of the sort of elegant next generation thinking of how to build objects that are, because you're really kind of you're very parallel the naming and on the server, you're parallel naming things on the client. You're using similar simplifying things. And again, sometimes when we use simplifying things, a beginning programmer like me in this particular situation kind of goes huh? It's that seems dumb. And the answer is no, that's beautiful and simple. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Great. Thank you.
So. Okay, well, with that, I will stop the recording and look forward to next week, where we're going to put this stuff in a database. Cheers.
Yeah, next time. Yeah.